Have you ever woken up one morning and felt like you don't have the passion for your vision, for your business, or your message? If so, you're not alone. Today, we have a very special guest who's an expert at helping people find their way during those times so that they can get the clarity they need on their journey to reach their dreams. Stay tuned. Your relationship to your passion, does it sometimes feel like a roller coaster ride? One season you're on fire and the season later you're not quite feeling it? And then, God forbid, you find yourself lost and in between dreams. Being a transformational messenger is about mastering your transformational journey, and that includes understanding the seasons of your life and business. I am so excited to bring Rikk to the show because he has so much wisdom and experience helping people find their way in any season of their life, especially in the time between dreams, so that they can regain their passion and discover their new path that aligns with their calling. Known as America's calling coach, Rikk Hansen has helped thousands of midlife professionals to find their career calling. Creator of the New Fire Discovery Process and author of the upcoming book, On Fire Again, Nature's Map for Finding Your Career Calling, he trains and certifies calling coaches. With 3 decades of experience, Rikk mentors coaches, therapists, and others who feel drawn to lovingly guide people on a calling quest, to claim their calling and express it in fulfilling work. Rikk, it's such an honor to be here with you today. Thanks for coming to the show.
I'm grateful to be here with you, Ron. Looking forward to this.
I'm so excited that you're here because you have such a wealth of information. And so many of us go through this roller coaster ride of a journey.
All of us, including me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the thing that I find too is that we all go through it, but no one told us about it. Mm-hmm. There's some really strong messages in our culture, even if you don't believe them, that are still powerful and impact how we feel about what we're doing, even when we're right on track.
Yeah, especially when you're in this space of personal growth and you see all these mentors that are always so alive and always so, passionate and happy. It almost seems almost one-dimensional that you hardly ever see somebody go out there and share some of that vulnerability that they are going through this journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
This time between dreams is a natural pause. And a really important pause in our natural cycle of vision in our lives. And that's why I call it the time between dreams. So on the one hand, there's some area of our life that's in decline, mm-hmm. or is even crashed. So there's an ending that's in process or that has already happened, where something that used to be satisfying has lost its spark. So what used to be enough is suddenly feeling too small for something that's growing in us.
Yeah.
So that's the one hand. And on the other hand, like I was acknowledging, there's this pull that we're more and more aware of in us towards something more. Mm-hmm. Towards something that feels like, I came here to do more than this. Has that feeling.
Yeah.
But the in-between part is, but what is that?
Mm-hmm. It's like I feel like it's my heart is hungry to go somewhere.
Yes.
But it doesn't fully understand what it is that it wants to be pulled by.
Yes. So that is the time between dreams. And what it is it's a threshold, where we've completed an old cycle. Mm-hmm. We've completed something that we created, something that we love to dream, and we did it in some form or another. At least we did it to the extent that is what's needed for our growth. And the next thing is calling. And without that clarity, that's the maddening part, because the mind hates that lack of clarity. Mm-hmm. But it's not clear because it's still growing in us. So that threshold, that invitation that time is giving us, is it's time for discovery.
Yeah.
It's time for a quest. That it really all we need to know at this point is that there's something more calling.
Mm-hmm.
I use the metaphor of winter
Mm-hmm.
and the season of winter to talk about this time between dreams, because on the surface, things are not looking like they're thriving.
Yeah.
But underneath the surface, really important things are happening that are preparing the way for what we're ready for next.
Mm-hmm.
The gifts of winter are really, they are where all new life begins.
Mm.
Because in winter is where you find again. It's where you find purpose again. It's where, the purpose never went away. What we're doing is we're stepping into it in a fuller way.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we're entering a bigger circle in ourselves.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
yes.
yeah.
But what creates that? Like when you're stepping away from your purpose, what got you to that place of being so disconnected?
We didn't step away from our purpose. We outgrew the old form of that purpose.
Okay.
So we had a certain understanding of our purpose, and we formed a life around that fit us at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But we're growing beings,
Mm-hmm.
So our calling, we grow into our calling. That we're going to build some things that are precious and that we love, and we're going to outgrow those things because we came here to grow.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's the gift of winter. Winter is that place where we're leaving the territory of who we've been.
Mm-hmm.
And we're stepping more fully into who we are now. Because now we're ready so we're facing old fears.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming up against old messages that were invisible to us before, or were enough before. And now, they're still powerful, but we're also so ready that we're done with that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're done holding that part of ourselves back. We're done, making that part of us small or settling, having to choose between this thing and that thing. And we want them both. So winter is where we're really claiming ourselves more fully. And that's why we don't have a new dream. Because something in us is growing to the point, we're stepping into a point in us that can dream the new dream.
Interesting.
The dream comes next.
Yeah.
Our calling is inseparable from the way we're growing as a person right now. And that can be really affirming when you're at that point where you know how committed you are to your growth, and you know how much you're growing and stretching and like coming up against all the gooey stuff. That's that being prepared. That's that preparation.
Yeah. You know what I love about this is like you make it sound like so nurturing and so exciting. And you totally changed the whole paradigm of this, oh my God, I'm lost, into, you know what? I'm going through this growth.
Yeah.
And that is an amazing way to look at winter.
It is, and it's why we choose to go there, because we have to choose to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And most of our listeners are probably familiar with Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. That is what winter's about.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the nudge, we get the call, and we always say, no, not yet, the first time. But there comes this point when even though it's scary, even though it means leaving behind precious things, that we can't not answer the call to feel like we're alive in the way we want to be alive next.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting because to me, it's starting to change the whole paradigm of the roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
And thinking that whenever you go down, you're losing things in your life, but you're not.
That's the old myth. That's where we feel like we're off track because we've been told up is the way.
Yeah.
And when things are, when the old thing has died, it's clearing way for something so much better and so much truer for what we are now. I mean, the old thing was good, but we outgrew it. It's time for more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So it once we get that that's what this is, then it's, we still have doubt. We still, it's scary as heck because we're going into new territory, and it's supposed to be scary. And I hate it.
Well, I guess it's like some people hate roller coaster rides because of that drop. Some people love roller coaster rides because of that drop.
Yeah.
And it's all about perspective.
Well, yeah, and perspective is it. And that's really helpful when you're in it. Because it is. I mean, we are facing fear when we go into a winter. Because we've outgrown that fear, but it's still powerful. But it's too small for what we're here to do next. So we are wrestling with fear in a big way. Because it's like, am I enough? You know, maybe this is bottomless. How okay am I without all the things that I used to point to for myself and for others about what value I bring? Yeah, we hit that question in a big way again. It's like, you know, layers of the onion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the biggest gift that we leave, you know, we leave winter, you know, with crystal clarity again about what we're here to do. But the biggest gift we leave winter with is that fear has less of a grip on us than it has ever had in our entire life. Yeah. And that's how we're stepping into our calling that much more.
Yeah.
You know, that we are more fully committing ourselves to the love that is and the thing that we came here to do and the gifts that we bring. And that's the fire.
Yeah, I can resonate with that.
Yeah.
Because every winter I feel like there's new courage that comes forth. That you experience, and sometimes it can feel effortless at that moment when you start to really own what the next chapter is.
Yeah.
I know in the last winter that I experienced, I felt like my health was declining. You know, I had a shoulder injury, and my passion work is with the camera, and I couldn't even lift the camera anymore.
Yeah.
And it was so challenging because, you know, my business took a hit because I couldn't do as many jobs. And so there was that financial pressure. There was the, wow, I can't do anything with my body, feeling disabled and not being able to do as much of my purpose work. Because one of the things I wanted to do was start to get into my artistic photography and expand that piece.
Yeah.
And I hit a deep place of emptiness and sorrow.
Yeah.
But at that moment, I felt like there was still hope. And I followed where that feeling of hope was, and there was a spark in me. I just started to nurture that spark, ask that question. I know you mentioned this before. It's like, what lights you up? You know, what makes you come alive?
Yeah, that's the question.
And I kept following that, and all of a sudden, everything started to shift. I was able to find new possibilities, new people that could actually help me. I'm healing.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to really feel like a level of confidence that I did not have prior to that season, which was amazing to me. And it was all because I was willing to actually be in winter, explore the feelings, find out what fears were coming up for me, and doing the work to go back and change the stories, the way I saw my life that were creating these fears.
Yes.
And then I stepped forward even more powerfully, even though I may not have been 100% sure at that moment what I was going to do.
Right. Yeah,
So
you didn't have a plan, or you didn't,
And I love that you've taken that relief off, because at the time I kept pressuring myself, like, you got to have a vision, you got to have a vision.
Yeah.
But you don't.
No.
Not in winter.
No. Yeah, the vision comes out of that energy. The vision comes out of that, the love.
Yeah.
That's renewed.
Beautiful.
And then the vision, feeds that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you share a few things for people that are going through winter, what they can do, or how they can help that process along?
Really, there's 3 elements that we're working with in winter. So one is we're feeding the fire. We are doing things, different exercises, different things that are following that thread of where's the aliveness, where's the love, where's the passion. So we're feeding that, we're giving it attention, and, you know, we have to make time for that. The pace of life is such that, you know, you can't do 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. It really takes a quality and care of attention. And it's not one exercise. You come at it from different ways. Because something in you is getting stronger, and we are claiming it. It's not like we're knowing it in our head. We are stepping into it, and it's getting stronger and stronger. So that's part of the work, is feeding the fire.
Yeah.
And, as a calling coach, a lot of the things that we learn to do is like, how do you do that when you're supporting someone in that? The second part is the fear. You can't ignore that. The very thing that you came here to do, there's parts of you that are terrified of that because you're afraid you're going to have to give up something that's precious, or you're afraid you're not going to get your needs met. We all are. So there's parts of us that want to get in the way, we want to sabotage it, we want to run. But that fear is important. So we're finding a new relationship with that fear. It doesn't go away, because those are parts of us that are trying to protect things.
Yeah.
That are important. Yeah. And if we try to just bulldoze it, that part of us will shut it down.
Or get stronger. The fear just gets stronger.
Yeah,
even
and
though
we'll
you're
take a
it.
shortcut, or we'll short circuit the process. Yeah, or go into total just. So you have to work with that part. So and that again is a calling coach needs to have tools and support people in actually finding a new relationship with the older, younger parts of the mind, of the personality, that are really afraid that if I do that, if I follow that thing that's in me, well, I'm going to be poor, I'm going to not have love, I'm going to have to give up this other part of me that's also precious.
We immediately jump to that sacrifice and what we're going to lose sometimes without giving that passion or that purpose a little bit more fire.
Yeah. So you actually have to care for those parts of you that are scared, and help them get on board. But so that's part of the work. And the third part is really the spiritual piece. It's really perspective. So it's whatever spiritual practice gets you to the point that can really listen. Because there's a part of us that has complete compassion for the scared parts. That has love and compassion for the excited parts in us that are so ready to move forward. And that can say, everything's in place. Or, can whisper something that has us relax and has us see how the very way we're being stretched and the very way we're scared is part of the way that we're here to grow. And that is, a classroom for the way we're growing right now.
I love that. Because, the spiritual part is sometimes something we forget because we don't have time. But the way that you put it, it's very powerful, because that spiritual part is really allowing ourselves to feel the love that we need. And not just out there. I know it's important to have that support, but the love that you have for yourself, no matter what you're going through.
Also, our spirit, our soul, us, we know that we don't have to do this alone. So that's when we can experience the fact that we're supported. That's when we can hear the guidance. That's when we can see the little signs that we're being given like every minute. That's when we can see the door open for someone to come into our life that's a helper for that particular thing. The way that Spirit supports us through other people's gifts. And we recognize them. It's like, oh, thank you. You were just what I needed right now.
And so, I like that because, in my last winter, I had reached out to a new friend who I had met, and I basically asked her if I could just be heard. Like, I don't want any coaching. And she held that space so powerfully for me. And just in that 1 hour conversation, I felt different at the end because I was able to emote and express where I was in that winter phase. And just feeling her reflecting back what I was feeling was what I needed to hear. What I needed to be with somebody who could just allow me to be and honor where I am. And that felt so amazing. I felt like that was a critical part in the shift of where you hit the low and you start to move up.
Yeah.
Is that through a friend, being able to listen to myself.
And you're touching on something really key there. And, I think in some areas of our life, we know that. We kind of know, like, oh, I'm struggling in relationships, so maybe I should talk to someone. Or, but because I work with people around the career piece, there's kind of this weird message that, like, that's a solo project. I don't know why. I don't know how that kind of became part of our culture. But it's like, oh yeah, that's something you just need to figure out, or you need to go get a book. Everyone I know is like done the book. And they're like, okay, well, there were some good things there, but really it didn't give me what I need.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a solo process. That's where we get most stuck. That's where we stay in our head.
Yeah.
And new fire is never found with the practical mind. It's never found in an assessment. It's never found in a book. Those are good things. I'd say do those things. But, because they add to it. They're pieces of it. But, yeah, so we have to reach out. We have to connect. I do a lot of my work. I do one-on-one work, but I do a lot of work in small group.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly in that discovery phase, there's something magic, particularly when we're talking about gifts, is to be in a small circle of people and have our gifts seen in a way that we can't see because we're too close to it. We're like, we're breathing the water. We don't see any water.
We're the fish. We don't even know what water is.
But someone else is going, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
did you know that you see that and that you bring those two things together in that way? And, sometimes from one person, we're like, oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I kind of knew that. But when you have a whole group of people that are saying, that are really looking at you with awe because they've seen you in a way that you haven't seen yourself yet.
Yeah.
And you receive it because you hear the truth of it. That's when something moves. That's when it's going from something that assessment can tell you to suddenly you hold a part of yourself in a new way that you kind of knew, but you only kind of knew it.
Yeah.
You didn't really get the value of what you offer and the way that you, do something that for you is like, doesn't everyone do that?
Yeah.
So support is critical.
Yes.
And it has to be the right people. It has to be people that have the space.
That can really hold the space for you and not have an agenda. So if you're looking for support, maybe pre-frame it and talk to that person and say, hey, I just need somebody to listen right now.
Yeah.
And just to hold the space because I'm going through a lot and I want to feel the emotions I'm going through because that's the process. I'm holding the space because I'm building something. I'm building this fire, and sometimes it may sound sad and you may want to fix it, but right now I just need to be heard. And I think that's powerful enough. That can help you to really go deep enough that you would start to feel that passion even more and even more and even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need time. Time is a big piece. And, that can be, I need a little sabbatical. Or I need, to go off for a personal retreat. Or I need to do a structured program or something that actually creates the time. Because the kind of listening that's required in winter, one of the hard things is the pace of our life.
Yeah, that's true.
There are other cultures and other times when they'd say, oh, this is the time you have to go off and sit for 3 days. And, you have someone to guide that. And you have these things in our culture that say, oh, well, of course you're here. And here's a space to do that.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like if you don't give the time, it's just going to drag. Winter's just going to drag. If you don't give that time with yourself and that quality time, it can last.
Yeah, it's necessary.
Yeah. So even though it's counterintuitive, and if you're feeling pressure and stress, sometimes having that time will actually move the process along. Yeah.
Exactly. So the first thing I do when I'm working with someone who's in that place is to give them a map. The first response is, it's relief, it's hope. It's like, I thought I was off track, but I'm actually on track, and this is going somewhere. But it was just going against all these external maps and messages about what's important or what, progress and success look like.
Yeah. So the map sounds like a really powerful tool. Do you have a story of a client who's used the map and how it's, affected them and helped them on their journey?
I get a lot of stories from clients, and I even had one the other day who mentioned that a little while back she had actually contemplated suicide because she was just working so hard and the old thing had clearly ended. And everywhere she looked around her, she thought people were doing, were on their path and doing well. And she had tried a couple things, and the first thing she tried didn't work. And she seriously considered that,
Wow.
And she said, now, I feel alive, I feel valuable, I feel like, I have the pieces that are going to build the next life. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So it sounds like it's a very powerful tool for people as they go through the changes in their life.
It is very powerful. I often will say to people when I'm first sharing it, it's like, this is something you're going to carry for the rest of your life, and you're going to share it with people you care about. And I've had people come back to me and say, you said that to me, and I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of hype.
Yeah, that's just another technique I got, and I'll forget about it, right?
And they say, but that's true. I am sharing it. I refer to it often. It's kind of just part of how I see things now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It makes life easier.
It does, yes. Yeah. It's about harmony and being easier on ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody is excited and wants to know what this map is. I've taken one of your courses and I love the map. I think it's one of the most innovative and powerful tools that you can get. And I know you have a special gift that can help them to see the map.
Yes. So I have a video training they can find at brilliantnext.com/messenger.
Love it. Is there something that you'd like to invite the audience to do this week so that they can start to explore if they are going through that process of winter?
There is one technique I can give. And what's nice is it's one you can do any week. And you can do it in the middle of your work, in the middle of your parenting. And it's one where you just use your daily life as a laboratory. And it's, you notice in the moment when something lights you up. And you can write it down or put it in your phone or, grab your voice app or whatever.
Yes.
But basically, you become a student just for a week. When am I lit up?
I love that.
Yeah. And one thing that you'll find is even just in a week, not only will you start to see some threads, you begin to trust that when you're lit up. You know when something, feels right. And so it's like that muscle's getting stronger of trusting that there's a part of us that knows when we're on track.
Love it. Until next time, keep shining your light because the world needs it. And remember that your message comes from inside and it comes from your transformational journey. Take care.